Alright, it's Barry and today I've got 21 fruits and vegetable seeds that I'm growing in 2021. It's January and that means it's the best time to start planning everything that you want to grow this year. It's also a good time to start having a look what space you've got and what beds you've got and things and what you want to grow in those beds, and you can even start getting them ready now by digging in soil improvers and some compost. Now I've got an absolute load of fruits and veg that I want to grow this year and I can't fit them all into one video, so this is part one of a two-parter, and then I'm going to do one about potatoes, all about potatoes, what the different types are and which ones I'm going to be growing, and then after that I'm going to be doing one about all the flowers I'm going to be growing this year as well. So there's going to be loads and loads of information and loads of ideas for things that you might want to grow for yourself, so keep an eye out for those. And before we get going, don't forget to subscribe to my channel to keep up to date with all of these seeds as they grow through the year, with loads of guides and ideas to make sure that you get the most out of your plants and your garden in 2021. And as always, I'll make sure there's a link in the description for all of the seeds that I mentioned today, just in case you want to check those out and grow some for yourself. I think out of all the plants that I grew last year, the tomatoes were my absolute favourite. They're really satisfying to grow and harvest, and if you haven't tried them for yourself, I'd really recommend giving them a go this year. I've mentioned it before, but this year I am doing a big tomato experiment, and I'm going to test an absolute ton of different plant foods and fertilizers all year to see which ones are the best for your tomatoes, and I'll be starting that up in a couple of weeks, so keep an eye out for that. The main variety of tomatoes that I'll be growing this year are money makers. I got some of those from B&Q last year, if you remember, and they turned out really good. The tomatoes were great and they were really good for the experiment, so I'm going to grow an absolute ton of those just so that we've got an absolute load for doing the experiment. We put them all in individual pots and feeding them all different plant foods to see which ones turn out the best. The tomatoes were a good size, and I'm hoping that by using pots this year they'll do even better. And moneymaker tomatoes are a traditional English greenhouse variety, so they're ideally suited to growing inside in these conditions. Another variety that I grew last year that did really well were Gardener's Delight. I was planning on using these for the experiment this year because they had loads of tomatoes last year, but they're a cherry variety, so they're smaller, and I did want a variety with larger fruit to better show the difference in nutrition. But if you want tons of nice sized cherry tomatoes, I'd really recommend these, and they taste great too. If you want a ton of amazing cherry tomatoes, I'd recommend Gardener's Delight because they taste amazing as well. This is a new variety for me this year. I wanted to grow something a bit more unusual, and you don't get more unusual than blue tomatoes. They're called blue tomatoes anyway, but they're closer to black or really dark purple, and the colour's similar to what you'd find with tomatoes, close relative aubergine, and it's ranging from a solid dark purple colour to a gradient with red. I'm really looking forward to seeing how these turn out, so hopefully we'll get some really interesting colours and combinations with these ones. And another new one for me this year is currant sweet pea tomatoes, which are basically absolutely tiny tomatoes, and I thought since I'm growing some tiny tomatoes, I might as well grow some massive ones as well. These are a variety called Gigantamo, which are apparently produced tomatoes that weigh up to 1 kilogram each. And now onto the peppers, and last year I grew some really nice varieties. I had the Sweet Aster F1s, which were long pointed yellow ones, and they were really nice. They grew really well, even though they were a really late harvest compared to the other ones. They turned out really good. And then I had the mini bell peppers as well. They had absolutely loads on them. They were like bushes covered in them. They turned out really good as well. So this year I felt like ramping it up a bit, and I'm going to grow some absolutely ridiculous hot chilies just to see if they turn out just as well. So yeah, I'm going to look forward to those, and these are the ones that I'm growing. So first off, I'll be growing some bell pepper plants, and these aren't spicy at all, and they're really tasty treats for my guinea pigs, and considering how many grow per plant in a season, it's better than paying 50p each in the shop. Next up, I've got Scotch bonnets coming in with around 100,000 to 350,000 Scoville heat units. These should pack quite a punch despite being the mildest chilies that I'm growing this year. Then I've got Trinidad Maruga Scorpion, and these are seriously hot, reaching 1.2 million Scoville units. These held the world record for the hottest chili, and that was until the next variety came along in 2011 and took the crown, which is Naga Viper. And these chilies clock in at just under 1.4 million Scoville units and are the second hottest chili in the world now. But don't worry though, I'm growing those as well. And the world's hottest chili since 2017, Carolina Reaper, and these are a cross between habanero and ghost chilies, and these measure almost 1.6 million Scoville units, which is ridiculous, and I'm really excited to give these a go and see how they all turn out. And I've got two varieties of cucumber to grow this year. I've got Telegraph and Telepathy F1. I grew Telepathy variety last year and they were amazing, and they all went really close to a foot long, so I was really pleased with them. And being honest, I don't even like cucumbers, they're horrible. But the guinea pigs and the tortoise absolutely demolish them, so it's another really good money saver when you can grow an absolute shed load of them for like £1 for a pack of seeds. And then next up, we've got another thing that I really enjoy growing, which is pumpkins. I grew Atlantic Giant and Jack Be Little varieties last year. While they turned out really good, they weren't like fancy proper Halloween pumpkins. The mini ones are pretty funny to stick on the front step, but this year I want to grow some proper traditional varieties like jack-o'-lantern, which are hopefully going to be some nice sized pumpkins, ideal for carving. And I still wanted to grow some extra large pumpkins too, so I picked up some Big Max seeds as an alternative to the Atlantic Giant. And for something a bit more unusual, I've gone for Casper, which is a white pumpkin, and they should grow some nice spooky white pumpkins. Another fruit that I'm not particularly fussed on, but I want to grow anyway, is watermelon. And yeah, they just look really good to grow, and I'm sure if they turn out, someone will have them. So yeah, gonna give those a go this year. The variety that I've got a Crimson Sweet, which grows vines that are around 10 feet long, producing fruits that are around 11 kilograms each, with dark green skin and a deep crimson inside. Another special treat for the guinea pigs now, and these are related to cucumbers, and they've got loads of different names. Where I'm from, we'd call this a Luffa, but some people, they call them a Luffa, and I think in America it's called a Chinese okra, or okra. Having only ever really seen these sold as sponges in shops, I honestly thought these were some kind of sea sponge creature for most of my life. I always avoided them because I thought they were like the product of some kind of coral reef ransacking industry, but there we go, and hopefully I'll have a bag full of these soon enough. And I've got two varieties of peas that I'm going to be growing this year, Calvin and Wonder and Petite Provencal, and I'm not sure yet whether I'll be growing these here at the allotments or whether I'll grow them in planters at home. They're a lot more susceptible to wildlife snack attacks here at the allotment because there's loads of mice and birds and things, just with it being in the middle of nowhere. So yeah, they come along and they eat all the leaves and just leave the stems behind, and then obviously the plants don't grow very well. So yeah, I'll probably grow these at home, but I might do them here as well just to see how they turn out, and hopefully still get an absolute ton of peas. Another favourite of the local squirrel population is sweet corn. They found mine last year and ate probably half of all of my corn, so I wasn't going to bother this year, but I'll possibly make some kind of cage or something to keep the squirrels out. I've got two varieties that I'm going to be growing this year, Incredible F1, which were the better of the two varieties that I grew last year, and I've also got a new variety that I haven't tried before called Fiesta, which produce all sorts of different coloured kernels ranging from pink and purple, mixed with white and yellow in all sorts of different colour combinations. So that's it for today. Hopefully there's a few ideas there for things that you might want to grow for yourself. And then up next we've got part 2, which is another 14 fruit and veg seeds that I'm going to be growing this year. So we've got things like carrots and sprouts and cabbages and onions and things like that. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss any of my new videos, and make sure you let me know in the comments if you're growing any of these varieties, or maybe if you're growing some other varieties that you want to let me know about. And I'll see you next time.